Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Soccer's Overtime, your weekly look inside the San Diego Sockers and the Major Arena Soccer League, coming to you courtesy of San Diego Punto Football. Alongside Tony Sanchez, I'm Craig Elston. Great to be here with you for Season 7, Episode 12. That's right, we're into a three-month project now, complete, of Soccer's Overtime. The Sockers are number one for now. What's going on, Tony?
I love seeing that, but I think the caveat is there for now. So enjoy it while it's here. Really enjoying an exciting view, I guess, of this last weekend's match at home. Very, very fun out there.
Well, it's great to have everybody here. The show gathers, let's tell you, as everyone arrives at our portal for football fun, what we've got in store for you on the show tonight. The Sockers sweep the season series from the Strikers, and they do it in a pair of highly entertaining, nerve-wracking matches. We've got the double dose of highlights and reaction from Saturday night at Front Wave Arena and Sunday afternoon at Toyota Arena. They've built a new wall? A new wall in North County? Is this a 2025 project thing? No, it's Danny Waltman. Danny Waltman joins the show at 6:30, Tony. Can't wait for that.
More goalkeeper talk. You know, I can always chat with the keeper about shop, about anything, why, and he's a good one. He's a good one to have, so excited for that.
Plus, in MASL news, exactly what needs to happen for the teams at the top, the middle, and the bottom of the playoff bracket heading into Oceanside. And in Soccer's news, we've got a regular season finale against Tacoma that could mean everything, or it could mean absolutely nothing. And a Soccer's legend who's ready to ride into the sunset. Pistols firing. We'll give Eddie Velez his flowers in a couple of his highlights as we continue forward on the show of record in the MASL Soccer's Overtime. It's great to have everybody here. Can't wait to chat to Danny at the bottom of the hour. Quite a surprise that was, Tony, to get the word literally as I landed getting back from Denver on Friday, like, hey, give me a call. We need to put a press release together. We're signing Danny Waltman. We're all in. That's what I got on the text. We're all in. And as we get ready to get into the highlights, the first of which won't include Danny, the second of which will, just your thoughts on San Diego utilizing a goalkeeper injury clause that allows you to make a roster addition after the deadline is come and gone. Boris Pardo has been down. We'll see if he's coming back, but Danny Waltman's in the fold.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be now the, I believe, fifth goalkeeper that the Sockers have resorted to. Maybe I'll nix Drew Ruggles on that one because technically he was there too. But yeah, that's it as an official stat. But yeah, I think that if you look at if you can either choose somebody like, hey, bring on Bernard Baloinos once again, or you get a legend like Danny Waltman, who, let me tell you, from what I heard, from what I saw, he is absolutely chuffed to bits to be a San Diego Soccer. So that's what you want to see. You want to see somebody who wants to be here in San Diego and really have a chance to, knows what it means to be part of this organization. So it's really fun to be out there. And we saw that, he still got it. He still got it here this last weekend. So some good reaction says we'll get into all that here in a bit.
Absolutely. I look forward again to talking to Danny, but for the Sockers, who came into the weekend with a lot of dominoes tumbling in their direction. They knew that if they could take care of their business and beat the Strikers 2 more times, not necessarily an easy task, but, beat the Strikers 2 more times, they were going to be able to, in some form or fashion, put the pressure on Chihuahua next weekend, force the Savage into a situation, right? How many of their top guys can they travel? This is a weird time to travel back and forth from Mexico to the U.S. Like, can they bring their full squad both to Harrisburg and to Front Wave a week later? I don't even know. I hope so. Certainly. But maybe they were planning on taking a B squad or even a C squad to Pennsylvania if they had the Shield wrapped up. Now they've got to at least win one game as a result of this. Well, I shouldn't say that. They've got to take 4 points.
Correct.
So winning one game is not enough. If they won one game and lost one game, the Sockers, with a win over Tacoma, would win the Shield. So, at least putting a little pressure on the final weekend, a little drama into the final weekend.
Yeah, and again, like, you never want to see a league really just not matter the last couple of weeks for anybody where everything's already set. It just creates for a boring time. If you already know who's going to be implicated where, and just no, I'm a fan of just those decision days, those final days. Like, everybody's kind of on pins and needles. Anything can happen. Yeah, okay, the top of the table sort of relatively sorted, but for the health of the league, it's a good move, I think, to have everybody be excited about. Hey, it is well, not everybody. If you're at the bottom, you can't really be too happy. That's what's happening down there. But again, it's for the betterment of the league. I think this is a good point, and let's give them kudos where they deserve it, because the league needs it sometimes. And good job, league. It was fun.
Well, all right. We've got 2 sets of highlights here, and we got Danny coming up, so we're already pushing it for time. Let's jump into it. Let's get into the game on Saturday. Kudos to yourself and Brian, Tony, for filling in when I was at Wave, PA on Saturday. And Sockers get out to a solid start there, breaking the Empire possession on counterattack and getting it in there for 1-0 with Charlie on a back post tap-in.
And actually, right before the match, Farber was talking with Charlie. He's like, "Hey, I need some highlights from you." And Charlie was very positive about that. From what I heard, had some parentals also in attendance, so it was a show for him. And you can see that he was starting on the right foot. And something that Farber pointed out: once you get Charlie going, like, he doesn't stop. He's just gonna go, and that's the Charlie Gonzalez that you got this game.
And nonetheless, Empire's going to keep going as well, and they're going to keep going with the pressure, using high press, trapping and recovering the ball, and just the beginning of an amazing game and an amazing weekend for Justin Stinson, Tony, who acted like he was a pure left footer throughout most of this match.
Yeah, and that's the lethal shot that you have from outside the box. And I mean, the Sockers also have a certain somebody who has a lethal shot outside the box. Que golazo. What a goal.
Yeah, Charlie for 2-1 right there. This game opens up so much in the second half. I mean, right here, you're talking about 21 minutes in, and you're still sitting at 1v1. But Charlie moving to his right, Farber inspired, activated, rips it home, 2-1. San Diego's got the advantage. But this game was going to seesaw back and forth, fourth and back. Outside, find the connection, find the loose ball, find the connection. Stinger stings again for 2-2.
Yeah, you were thinking, where is the goal? Where are the goals going to come from? If Marco Fabian's not there, is he really going to leave Stinson out to dry, and he's going to have to figure things out by his own? And that's kind of exactly what happened. The team that Empire have are a good team in general, just a good cohesive group that doesn't necessarily rely on 1 or 2 players. It's good to have Fabian there, but Stinson was doing his part very well.
2-2, but all of a sudden things start to get hairy, and ball loose in front of the net, and eventually it gets slam dunked home. Diaz gets on the end of this when all is said and done. 3-2, first lead of the game for Empire. And then in the final 2 minutes, an opportunity for more. Good save by Xavier Snare Williams. Once again in there, Boris Pardo has been out with the lower body injury. But what are you doing? I mean, Justin Stinson recovers the ball again, dribbles into a double team, reverses out of the double team, a Cruyff turn there a little bit, and frees himself up for yet another left-footed goal. Stinson playing at his all-time high level this season and in this weekend, Tony.
Yeah, as soon as he netted the hat trick, that made it 26 goals. And again, his career high, as we had mentioned. But you can't really do anything with a player who's just feeling in form. And player for the Sockers is actually informed scoring wise is Drew Ruggles too.
No question about it. Huge answer for San Diego to start the quarter. They go into the locker room trailing 4-2, but here the outside pass and Ruggles, as always, just calm in big situations, makes the quick hip turn to turn that bouncing ball from Leo, one hop, put it up in. A lot of people would fumble that. A lot of people would have to bring it down with their knee. But the goal is brought right back and taken from the outside. Emmanuel Aguirre, former soccer, uses the left foot from distance right there. Maybe a partial screen for Xavier, or he got wrong-footed on this play. Yeah, a little bit to his weight to his left foot, as you can see on this replay for Xavier. Ball's over his right shoulder. And it's back to a 2-goal lead for the Empire Strikers. That one went right over the head of Justin Stinson, who decided to get out of the way. Smart play. Back on the Sockers, Charlie, one-handed save. Brilliant stuff. Charlie dimes it up. Goal on the back post, Craig Childs.
Yeah, you would hope to see a little bit more Childs with Tavoy Morgan out on suspension, right? Like you still need to get the captain going in these late stages. You have a lot of players coming back. You have Leo coming back, kind of getting in form as well. But that's the constant you like to see is Craig Childs is still getting it happen on set pieces.
And that was career MASL 298, career Sockers 501 for Childs on the header back to the back post tap. Lovely stuff done for San Diego. Ruggles outside off the wall, gets it back, sees Charlie. Really good work there. This is veteran indoor soccer play, Tony. Don't just get your head down because you missed the shot. Keep your eyes open for opportunities to come, and the opportunity was Charlie on the wing for his hat trick.
Yeah, and he was looking for the second shot as well. And again, it's just seeing how the game slows down as a veteran is you have that extra just look up, and that's where you'll find your teammates, and you rely on Charlie to be there in that spot. And you know that he's going to have just as better, if not better, of an opportunity to get the shot on target. And it pays off. Great shot by Chadley.
And what a fun game this was to watch at 5-5. And then this was, well, not as fun to watch. A loose ball, just a kind of a mistake, a little bit of a careless error by San Diego. Empire quicker to the ball, and lovely finish for 6-5 from Diaz, netting his brace.
Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, strikers were dangerous throughout, even if they weren't sticking to their whole philosophy of eternal sixth attacker. It was the wrinkles between where they were being able to be successful, and then they find success with that formation with a goalkeeper on goalkeeper goal. I don't like goalkeeper on goalkeeper goals.
Well, this is like Obasi's shining moment right here. You're always bringing your keeper up. You put him into a set piece. He's completely unmarked. He gets to run up on this ball, puts a perfect shot, gets the laces through it. And right at this moment, I'm sure a lot of people are feeling like Empire's going to win this game and that they're going to have their strategy really, really pay off and they'll clinch a playoff. But here's the thing. Luis Morales still on this team, back to this team, in fact, after missing quite a bit of time away and drawing cartage.
Yeah.
Look at this spin and turn. Tugging on Superman's cape.
Yeah, you can get the jersey after the game, guys.
So that means power play. Power play's been lethal. There he is right in the middle. Perfectly set up from the corner. Who else to score the goal but the guy who set it up with the card drawn? And we've got ourselves, make it Keiko Gontan, pardon me. Hey, Keiko, welcome to the highlights.
Yeah, welcome back. It's been a while. I mean, you made it, but it's been a while.
Set up from, I meant to say, Morales in the corner. So now 1-goal game. Ball high in the air, and look at this, a simple mistake. Hey, one mistake deserves another, and who cashes him in better than Sebastian Mendez? I feel like he's been the guy that's been Johnny on the spot so many times in these fourth quarter moments.
Yeah, and it's really just being there in that position and being heads up, keeping your eyes on the ball, waiting and just kind of chomping at the bit that you knew that ball is going to go ahead and go that direction, but it's the factor of being able to finish it. A lot of players can get possession right there, but can they finish? And that's where Sebastian Mendez excels.
So now the Sox are the team that's on a roll. We get a little bit of the spice here,
Yeah, it was
as usual.
it
You
was
were there
rowdy.
for it.
Yeah, it was rowdy, and again, a lot of energy from the crowd as well. Big crowd. So kudos to everybody who made it in. Hispanic Heritage Night. There was Lucha Libre I missed, but here,
Oh,
Chadley.
he just does it again. His fourth goal, he gets the steal, unassisted goal, and then crazy duck walk celebration, which was super athletic. I thought to jump right into that. It was highly stylized, almost choreographed, but what a play. Steal, immediate decision, left footed too. Left footed for goal number 4.
Yeah, just pouncing on the fact that there's an open net and not second guessing. Just you have the opportunity, just take the shot and you will be rewarded.
Oh, and by the way, why was there an empty net? Because Empire clears their keeper out of their net voluntarily all the time. Rough and tumble soccer in the offensive midfield. Sockers come away with it. Look at the weight of that pass by Leo to set up Luis Morales. That is pass master class.
That's who I'm very excited to see back. He is playing like Leo of old, and he is just, playing with a joy as well and an intensity. There's a chip on his shoulder. He knows how much time he's missed. He knows that his team needs him in these moments, and he knows that he needs to be in a position to contribute positively, and he's trending towards that. It's really exciting for Leo and the Sockers.
2-goal lead, as we know, for a team that clears their goalkeeper for like 50 minutes, once they go to 6 attackers, Empire is pretty useless. It's funny, but it's true. And here Pee Wee gets the little sexy chip to wrap things up and put goal 17 for the night, goal 10 for the Sockers into the net for our final score of 10-7.
Yeah, it was a fun game. Fun game. And if there was a game for Empire to win, so I thought, it would have been that one. And I'm like, if they're gonna win a game, it's gonna be here. They're playing well. They don't have Marco Fabian. They're still doing good plays. They're finding spaces where usually they don't, and they're gonna get lucky here. But Soccer's fought through, and again, congratulations to the players that actually saw this and met the challenge and said, you know what? No, this is who we are, and came back third time in the match.
And I would note, especially upon rewatch, and it was great to have this on in the booth up at Wave. And then actually I was in the car with you guys on for the final 3 or 4 of those goals. It was kind of a funny seesaw in terms of which match was ahead of the other in real time. As time went on, you guys scored so many goals in the fourth that you fell behind. I thought you were going to finish before us for a while there. But I would note, as we get ready to rack the second set of highlights, that down the stretch, Empire's strategy was backfiring. That Charlie's third goal is scored into an empty net because Gomez is out and he is roaming the field and he's racing to get back on the dispossession. The 9th goal you saw, the 10th goal, of course, 6 attacker is at that point, but the Sockers, having now seen at this point this strategy for a third time on Saturday, even though they made their own mistakes, and I thought you and Brian made some good points about, the system generates possession is what it does. The system generates pass, midfield pass, midfield pass, trying to wear down one team to the other. A strategy that looked like it was going to work Sunday in the fourth quarter, right? To wear down a veteran team, young legs prevail. But most of the goals didn't really come out of the system. The goals quite often came out of, greasy indoor plays that you just normally see.
Yeah, and literally that's what Farber just immediately pointed out, where it was the third goal for Empire, and they're like, well, yeah, Stinson's doing well, but he's just breaking out of the mold. He's just figuring things out in a soccer, indoor soccer sense. Like, he's just using instinct at this point and not going based on the system. And so the Sockers also, like you said, have seen it a couple times, so they're more surgical about how they can pick this system apart. And we were waiting for it. We were like, come on, guys. Like, we hear the complaints. The style's not this. It's hurting the game. Whatever. But do something about it. And they did something about it. And it's getting close because Empire also has more experience with the system throughout the season, and they can get better at it. But ultimately, when you're faced with an experience of the Soccers, it kind of doesn't matter at the end of the game because it didn't work on the night after either.
Well, let's get into it. And as a reminder, fans, at the end of this reel, we're going to have Danny Waltman join the show live. But here it is, Sunday afternoon. This is Fury game. I don't know if they called it Fury Night, but they wore Fury-inspired uniforms. They called themselves the Fury, or at least Philly did most of the time. He kind of alternated in between. And things get started for San Diego. Morales tipping it to Gutierrez, and right in between the wickets, 5-hole goal. Next time wear an apron. And then Danny Waltman just gets it going early, Tony, in terms of being put to the test over and over and coming through over and over.
Yeah, and again, it's a getting in the groove of things, the goalkeeping position that you can tell Danny was just happy to be out there. And again, that's somebody who's a veteran, and oh man, like this goal is just fantastic. It just stops you in your tracks, literally. Jeez.
Well, that's an anti-system goal right there. Goalkeeper is out by design. It has put pressure on the back defender for Ontario to move the ball. He gets dispossessed, and then Leo's got the opportunity because the keeper there. So he's got a yawning goal mouth to make that little tap is just picked up by the keeper. And a beautiful shot, Eddie Trujillo. Thank you, Drew Ruggles, for that. That's an all-time keeper for Drew. Another diving save, Danny Waltman. Waltman, 10 out of 10 no notes in the first half. Childs tries to give him an assist, one-handed save, Orozco, to keep that from happening.
Yeah, his quick distribution that Waltman has, and his style is just gets the job done. Like he will come after you, and you saw the distribution right here, and it leads to a better opportunity for the Soccers, and they're able to convert on this following play.
Yeah, Tavoy back from his 1-game suspension does not mark on this day, but he all but marks here as he draws the penalty. But it was Waltman's throw that sets up Childs. Childs, you guessed right. I put it right past your hip. That's MASL goal number 299 for Childs, and a 3-0 lead. Empire has all the shots on goal at this point, Tony, and the Soccers basically have 3 goals on 3 shots. Danny again in the shooting gallery, making great saves. Danny again in the shooting gallery, making great saves. This one, fortunate, muy fortunado. The ball is about 87% over the line right there.
Yep.
But it's got to be 100% of the ball, 100% over the line. And as you can see, oh no, just by the tiniest sliver.
Yeah.
A slice of cake. That's it. Narrow slice.
Yeah, that's the right call. And there's no goal line technology here, but it's a great shot. And yeah, the entire circumference of the ball has to cross, and no part of the white line has to interfere with the ball. So again, fortunate, very fortunate to not be giving that one up.
This set piece works. Stinson gets it through on the short corner. Justin is just unstoppable. 3-1. Okay. Goal conceded nonetheless. Feeling pretty strong about the way this match has gone so far for San Diego. There's going to be a turning point coming up in the highlights. Don't worry. This is going to be like a movie. There's going to be a dramatic start to the third act. Danny Waltman, meanwhile, it just looks like a human eraser in the first half. Looks like he's, I don't know about 23, but looks like he's 33 out there. Whoops, mistake. This is a penalty on Empire. And again, this is an anti-strategy goal that is being created for San Diego as Orozco is slow off. Now, look where Palmer takes the ball. He takes it on the wrong side of the line. That was back-to-back goalkeeper touches. And then the immediate restart and handling on Orozco, and a power play for San Diego as a result. And another mistake made. No mistake here. This is just brilliance. Are you kidding me?
Senor Morales. That is Senor Morales to you. That just get off of him. Do not touch him. Stay away. Get clear of the shot because there's nothing that's going to stop that goal. That's just a player imposing his will on another.
Yeah, and left-footed, no less. Morales with one of his best goals as a Socker, to be sure. So that's where it was at the half, 4-1. Here's a breakaway for 5-1. We saw the great Morales goal. How about a great Mendez goal? Not only does he take the breakout, Tony, but everything after that. And I thought the commentary from Artie Kyrell was really good. Like everything was fundamental about what Mendez does here. He slows down. He sets himself up, gets the boxes out the defender, and puts the laces through for 5-1.
Yeah, it's the little things. Looking back, looking forward, looking at every angle, being ready and prepared, and you know what you have on that left foot, and he gets it done. And
speaking of getting it done, Sockers get a power play. Giles Morales nestles it over the line. It's a 6-1 game. And this really is looking like, on this Fury throwback game, Tony, is very much looking like many Sockers Fury matches. It's 6-1 Sockers, but the best is yet to come for Empire, to be sure. Once again, Justin Stinson puts it into a mailbox slot here, Tony, on a weekend of great goals. Look at the placement of this, and it comes off a loose ball recovery one time.
It's incredible. Like, it's just have that location available on your foot and feet on both sides. Like, it's just a special player that he is. And then Marquito Fabian back as well.
But this starts with the Fury Strikers going on a full court press, and they are using the all-out press, and they got the steal. And then Alami, who was missed the last couple of games, Munir Alami, puts it across. Fabian puts it in. Okay, 6-3 now. Nothing even Danny can do on a ball like that. But more to come. Left wide open.
Yeah.
Zero puts it in. It's 6-4. Splitting the defense. Okay, well, this is why you build a 5-goal lead on the road, Tony, is to get to a 2-goal lead. But I should note, a listed crowd of over 7,000 at Toyota Arena on Sunday.
Yeah, no.
And the crowd's into it.
Yeah, and it looked like it had all the momentum. The energy was just churning. Everybody's going to go home happy. And here, just things kind of start going. It teeter-totters between the Sockers and the Strikers. Just the Strikers never got out of their own way, to be honest.
But right here, just such a critical moment. The handling call, another handling call on the Empire keeper for being out. This one is slammed home by Childs for his 300th MASL goal. And that's a big goal. That's 7-4 because pause the tape right here, buddy, for just a second. What we don't see on this replay, and I watched through this whole highlight, okay, what we don't see is that in the first 15 seconds of the third quarter, Israel Cisse gets injured on the field. This is the Ontario Fury's captain. He's the only player that's been there for every year of the Fury Strikers franchise. He's been their captain for years and years. He announced his retirement. This was his retirement game. They did the whole Fury thing for Israel Cisse. In the first goal, Izzy was out on the floor. He helped give up that goal on the counterattack, but he was starting the third quarter and he injured himself. Not injured himself, but he went down with a non-contact injury. He was down for multiple minutes. He had to be helped off of the field. He was sitting in the back of their bench with his leg up, and it was a Willis Reed moment for the young Strikers. They said, and I heard Abdul Mansour's interview as well, they looked at Cisse and they said, we're not going to go out like this. We're not going to go out like this. So now we're in one of these special moments in sports when emotion and skill and the moment have all intersected like the confluence of three rivers. And now they are all flowing in the same direction at once. And that direction is toward a place that doesn't truly exist. It's called Empire, a mythical place that doesn't exist. All the rivers in Empire, in the magical place that doesn't exist, are flowing in the same direction. And now, with that context, see what happens. It's 14:35 when it starts. Abdul Mansour is left open in the middle, little half scissor kick. 7-4 has turned into 7-5.
Yeah, that momentum right there, and I love Danny's just like, "God, the time stopped, like, you don't need to get the ball back, like, relax, here you go." Just putting that ice, but yeah, you can definitely feel that momentum turning, and, that's what this, Empire team needs. It's just got that shot of energy and the adrenaline.
Less than a minute later,
Mm.
Sockers are nowhere to be found. They've turned it over at midfield. Empire is back with a 3v1. And now at 14:35, it was 7-4. Now it's 13:30 and it's 7-6. 2 goals are in. I'm sure Danny would like to have saved that one off his knee nonetheless. That's a goal for Stinger. Okay, now look, it's 10 seconds later. Mansoret, good touch here to control that ball under pressure. And then he's got the defender behind him on the hip. He beats Waltman to the far post. And now it's a minute and 15 seconds. And 3 goals have gone in for Empire, 2 for Mansoret. And just like that, we are tied.
Yeah, just a team possessed by everything going right and really just going out for it, right? And here you go.
Mansoret.
Ooh.
Mansoret again. Pokes it through the legs of Ruggles on a steal to himself to score op-footed into the top bins. He's never played better in his life. This is the moment of his MASL career to date, other than scoring in the mini game of the finals. Abdul Mansoret, let me look at that. Right-handed tip, left-footed one-touch goal. Unbelievable. Hat trick in 3 minutes for Abdul Mansoret. 3 minutes, 3 goals. 8-7 Ontario. Now, the game does not melt down. We've seen the Sockers melt down. Look, now we're down to 7.5 minutes, and the Sockers, with Ontario in the full press, find their own 3v1. How about the calculation?
Yes.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Pee-wee to the back post to Ruggles, 8-8, 7:19 to play.
Yeah, the vision, the anticipation, knowing exactly when the defenders are going to overrun this pass, and Drew Ruggles again in the position to get one back. He knows, that goal was on him, and he comes back and brings it on back to tie the game.
Overtime, and our guest standing firm. How about it? That's supposed to be the winner right there.
Yeah,
that's an yeah.
That's what
the game's supposed to be over.
Yeah, exactly.
Now another plus save. And Danny jumps on it. This is in the first 50 seconds of overtime. And now with about 5 minutes elapsed, this is a bumper bounce. Great hustle, Mansoret. Danny can't touch it. Saves them all. But the play continues. Leo has captured the ball. Hansen gets blitzed. Leo sees the ball. And you did? What? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Que golazo, Leonardo. 9-8 Sockers win. Pure dejection from Orozco. That look is one to savor.
Yep.
Questioning strategic choices, life choices, all the choices. Because again, if he's just playing his position, Tony, I mean, by the way, that's such a great shot. I don't know. Maybe he wouldn't have saved it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he's left himself helpless to this result as the result of the coaching of Abassi. And the Sockers do it. Some great photos from Eddie here of the joy of victory and the agony of defeat, as they used to say on ABC's Wide World of Sports. 9-8 Sockers. What a moment. What a moment. What a moment.
Just the goals, the emotions. Like, I think if you're an Empire Strikers fan, like, you're welcome for the great show. There you go. You couldn't have asked for better.
Yeah. I mean, it couldn't be a Fury night with San Diego in town without the Sockers getting a big scare and then emerging on the other side. I mean, it's like sometimes when the Fury and Sockers have played in history, Tony, it's felt like wrestling, you know, where like there's that moment where one says to each other, okay, now it's time. Now it's time for the tables to turn. Here's your moment. Beat me up, get me with a chair. Get me with the hidden device. Oh, what did he? He's got knuckles in his back pocket. Oh, but in the end, the Sockers win. The face prevails. The heel turns back to the locker room dejected.
And in their
Right.
home. I love it. I love it.
Well, we just showed you the highlights. Let's bring in a guy who was a huge part of the highlights and who's been a huge part of the sport of indoor soccer in the 21st century. I think it's pretty fair to say, I'll say it before he comes on, the best goalkeeper of the 21st century of indoor soccer. I mean, you can go back to Noguera, you can go back to Toth, you can go back to Mayer, you can go, you can go back to the superstars of years gone by. But in the 21st century, in the 2000s, the 2010s, the 2020s, one guy whose career spans it all, almost from 2004 with Detroit Ignition to now 2025, where for the first time in all of that, he puts on the legacy brand of San Diego Sockers. He is a legend in every sense of the word and a great man who I've known for many years. He's Danny Waltman. He's a soccer? Wait, can I double check? Look, he's a soccer. It's real.
It's official.
Dreams do come true. What's up, Danny?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Better now that you're here, brother. Better now that you're here. How are you? It's
I'm
great
doing
to
great.
see you.
I'm doing great. Great to see you guys. Thanks for having me on today.
Well, let's get into it, man. I thought you hung him up. We did a whole thing, at the end of 2022-23, and here you are, looking like fresh as a daisy out there on Sunday. Certainly, they threw you right into the hot water. And how are you feeling? How are you feeling now?
Still kind of just it feels like an out of body experience, the whole thing, and I think I'm still running on adrenaline ever since Phil called. I think it was Thursday we worked it out, and Thursday night I got on the plane and was at training the next day. Tried to get a little reps in while we had that home game, which the crowd was just unbelievable. Just to be on the bench for that game was just like, I'm looking around just going, man, I missed this, and this is so awesome. And then after that game, Phil came to me and said, hey, you're in tomorrow. And then I think it was just like, oh, okay, this is happening. And I haven't really slept, I don't think, since that night. And everything worked out. I thought the Empire Strikers were
both. It's fine.
Right. I'm there. They were flying. I thought both games. I thought that was, when you play a team with their backs against the wall, you're going to, get their best. And I thought they were great both nights. And the Sockers are the Sockers. And there's just so much talent, and different guys step up on, different nights at different moments. And it's awesome to be a part of it.
So, I mean, you talked about that out-of-body experience. It looked like it in certain points just because you were just on autopilot, just classic Danny Waltman. Just take me through that debut, through that day, through the match, and just really being as advertised. I'm not sure if you are the one that found the time machine, but it seems like you have.
It was just a matter of kind of going out there and seeing what was there. And I guess my angles are still good, and some things, it was just one of those nights, make a lot of saves. It was a good night in that sense, but I still made a ton of mistakes. And I first ball at my feet, I kicked it out of bounds. At the end of the power play, I threw it out of bounds to give them their first opportunity to top of the yard for a goal. So that was just kind of some funny stuff. I talked to Craig Childs before the game. He asked me how long it's been. I said, I think almost 2 years. And he said, so I can expect some crazy stuff to happen. I said, oh yeah, just be ready for anything. And those guys welcome me in. They're all top players, top organization on and off the field. Even Paul Savage, great trainer. He remembered what chapstick I used like 10 years ago in the World Cup. And it was sitting in my locker when I got there. I've since changed brands, but I was just like, Savvy, you're a different level, man. And had my nameplate already up there in the locker. I don't know how they made it same day, but it was awesome. I had trouble passing my physical, to be perfectly honest. My blood pressure was high, and I just told him, I said, look, man, I'm good to go, but I'm just amped right now, and I don't think I could get a low blood pressure reading if I wanted to. Right. And he was just the doc's like, they had to do it 3 times. The doc said, look, close your eyes, stop talking, just go on vacation here. And then I think we finally got it down to, an acceptable level. But jacked. I was jacked up.
Brother, I'm glad you brought up the 2015 World Cup, because that was the first time that you and I personally got the chance to, be on the road together, interact for the first time. I remember being in a nightclub celebrating the championship. And you and I sitting in a booth and talking about a future that eventually could put you in San Diego. And I think we all knew you were going to go to Tacoma. You had just come away from a 20-0 season with Kansas City, but we knew you were going to go home. We knew you were going to go to the Stars. But nonetheless, we had this talk about, like, maybe someday. Maybe someday. And to be perfectly honest, I obviously thought that time had come and gone, and you had retired as a Tacoma Star, and you've, I think if I remember right from doing the press release, third all time in a couple of, in all time saves and all time minutes, sixth in all time wins, and obviously if we added in, as Michael Lewis did, all of your numbers from multiple leagues like MISL and XSL, close to 5,000 saves in your career, 21 professional seasons, multiple championships, league MVP as a goalkeeper, which is a very Noguera thing to do and to excel at. I mean, this is an illustrious cabinet, as you know, and you don't have to come back. You're all of that is in place, but here you are. So that little setup, other than paying off a little whimsical dream we had in 2015 in a booth at a nightclub, I'm curious as to your why. Like, what is propelling you to get back out there?
There's just nothing like playing under the bright lights, and the feelings that you get when you're playing. You call it anxiety, pressure, butterflies. You feel it here, and you can't get it anywhere else. I played a lot of music professionally on stage and stuff, and that's a different kind of butterflies. But I think you're prepared, and you just kind of have to go out and do it in that sense. But in the sports world, it's you don't really know what's coming your way, and it's as soon as Phil called and said, "Can you come down?" It came back. It ends as soon as the season's over. And it was 2 years ago, April, that I stopped playing. And I sold some cars. I worked some construction, did some coaching, and played some music. But trust me, nothing gives you that feeling. Even right now, I was talking to my wife. I was like, I feel like I'm running on adrenaline. It's, different energy. And just for love of the game, for love of that, I just want to be back out there doing it. I feel like I could do it, and I'd like to just keep it going till the wheels fall off, as Jeff Ritchie once told me, old goalkeeper. He just said, do it till the wheels fall off, because he retired before me, and said he would do anything if anybody gave him a call. So I was looking for a place to play last year, and even this year I thought, man, maybe I can go to Mesquite or something like that, but just didn't quite work out, and got the call from Phil, and here we are. So just riding it.
Yeah, and I mean, you're talking about that call, right? Sorry, Craig, you were about to.
No, I just wanted to say thank God you didn't play goal for Mesquite all year in front of 100 people, and you can be over here and fight for a champion. Back to you, Tony.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, you talk about that phone call with Phil. I mean, what are the conversations like in terms of the playing time, right? Because you have some time here, some space on Boris on the men, a young goalkeeper coming up. Have those conversations moved into, hey, maybe this is what we're planning for you, or we'll see how it goes? The business side of coming back.
Yeah, no. To be perfectly honest, I think the message was Boris is hurt, and we just gotta bring somebody else in for insurance just in case he's not back. And so that's it. I'm ready to go whenever. But I'm happy to help the team. I'm here to help the Sockers and help Boris and help Xavier. And if I can leave here and those two are better keepers, and that's a great, a great reason for me to come down. yeah, we haven't really discussed much. I didn't think I was really going to get any time this weekend, maybe a quarter or two. But then Phil came to me after the Xavier's win, and he said, "You're in tomorrow," and I was just like, "Okay, let's go." And then we hopped on the bus and went down there. I love playing in that arena. I've always felt good there. There's just good lighting. You can see real well, and the crowd was just so over the top. When they announced 7,800 or something, I mean, it was electric, and you just don't feel anything when you're playing there in that kind of atmosphere. That's just really what it's all about. Playing in front of the big crowds under the lights. There's nothing like it. And I know everybody in the league is taking it for granted right now, as I did. And I feel like I'm doing it with a greater appreciation and man, getting emotional talking about it. That's a surprise, but yeah, just I love it, and being out of it was not as enjoyable as being in it. And so even though I got friends like Robert Palmer coming up to me after the game, he said, "Dang, Danny, you got some gray hair. I never thought I'd see that." And when I told Paul Savage give me a large jersey, he goes, "How about an extra large? It's a little looser around the belly." And I was like, "Okay, whatever you say." And
Sounds
so,
like Savage to me. That sounds
yeah,
like Savage.
and he was right. He was right. So yeah, so I may not look the same as I did when I was playing, but I still feel like I can do it, and not really sure. Not really sure, but I guess what the main motivation is, because I'm leaving my family, making a sacrifice there, but it feels like the right thing to do, and we're making it a positive experience for our family as well. Get back in shape. That's always a positive, but yeah, I wish I had about a month or two more to train before hopping in goal for these guys at the level they're playing. But
Well, don't worry, you've got a week. Because in 2 weeks, the Sockers will begin a series. They hope a series of single elimination victories. They need 2. It's a mini March Madness. It's more like April anxiety or whatever you want to call it. But it's going to be 8 teams turning into 2 over the course of just over 48 hours. What are your thoughts on the excitement that's coming to Front Wave Arena next weekend?
Yeah, that's a really great way to do it. I think it helps out the owners and makes it super exciting. However, the way it's set up, it makes it anybody's tournament. All you got to do is get in, make the tournament, kind of like March Madness. You get in, and then anything's possible. And it's exciting to watch St. Louis and Tacoma and Empire all battling for the last spot. I was down there once or twice battling for that last spot, so I know how it is. And it's whoever gets in, anybody who gets in has a chance to win the championship. 100%.
Beautiful stuff, Danny. Just a couple things and we'll let you go. And we thank you for hanging on, but we had to play this extra long highlight because it was filled with all your saves.
No, I've been watching it too, and it's good to once again just critique you're leaning, you come out, you're leaning, you get beat, so it's good to see that over and over. And
much appreciated. But here, before we let you go, a couple of things. First off, you've got a couple guitars behind you in your backdrop. I see you, sometimes going live on Facebook, Instagram, all the time. You're a musician. You've been a musician. You are a musician. And as you said, you've been up on the stage professionally. Unlike the professional sport of soccer, people aren't shooting at you. Usually, like the music, the music will change all the time. So it's not it is a moving object, so to speak, but you have the opportunity to control that motion. So it's certainly a different aspect of it. But just tell me your feelings right now and where you are in your creative life.
Musically, I'm trying to write a song that will get me out of this town. You know what I mean? I would love to I would love to sell some songs to some big artists or perform them myself. I'm trying to convince the league to put a team in Nashville so I can get out there and maybe do some double duty. But yeah, that's it. Other than that, I play local shows around town, and got to play upright bass in a band called Written Wood, and do my other solo guitar stuff. And someone told me I should get on the TikTok, something like that, and try that. So I'm gonna maybe venture out, keep the parrot picking parties going, just try to entertain whoever's interested. But yeah, I would love to do that full time, all the time, make music. So hopefully I can figure something out with that. Maybe there's some inspiration in the palm trees and the beaches of San Diego. Speaking of that, first night we were there, we went to Tamarack Beach and watched the sunset. People are out there surfing. I was sore from training, so I had my legs in the water. And then like 150 pelicans flew over in formation, biggest V's I've ever seen. So much so I had to ask a local. I was like, is this, normal, or is this a special one? He said, well, it happens every night. They always fly south, but that formation was pretty wild. And, I usually take those signs from nature as a good thing. And, fast forward to the next 2 days later, we won the game. We're sitting there after the game at the post game. It was tacos and tequila is where we stopped on the way back, and we're eating food and everything's great. And then I'm sitting next to Boris, and it's Boris's birthday, so they give him a little birthday cake thing, and they make one for me too. It's got this like candle shooting off. I'm like, sweet, and it's got berries in it and sauce, and it looks good. Oh my goodness!
Oh, look! Why look? This must be it. And what was in that?
It was mayonnaise. It was mayonnaise, but it was, the thing about it is that it didn't taste too obvious. So I thought, was this like some kind of gourmet custardy dessert or something? I didn't want to offend anybody, so I took that bite down. But I was just like, oh, I want to spit it out. This is terrible. But they got me so good. I mean, that's classic. Like, we used to, back in college, we used to go to the spaghetti factory, and their vanilla ice cream looks just like the butter dish. And so the young kids would get the butter. But man, and it was funny too, because I was sitting next to Gontan, and I was like, hey buddy, you want some of this? He's like, no, that's for you. I'm full. And he played it off so well. Everybody was in on it. So that was that's great. And there's video footage. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, you wouldn't believe that maybe Paul Savage sent that for the show.
Oh man.
Okay. Again, that's
with himself.
I'm telling you, it looks so good with the berries and everything. I mean, the chef must have been laughing his butt off making this, and they did it. So they just got on board, and so it looks so good. And then once I ate it, I was like, is this flan or is this something else? And I was like, oh man, this is like not
sour.
I don't think this is right. And yeah, so that was awesome. So we had a good laugh there. That was great. I hadn't been pranked in a while. That's
local. Like, is this how they usually are, or is this a special one too?
Oh, I do the same to any new guy. I was the king of pranks, so there's all I could do is just say, guys, that was brilliant. Like, well done, and cheers. You got me good. That's awesome, and even better that there's some footage of it.
Oh man,
yeah,
that's so great. Well, listen, Danny, I can't wait to see you in person again come this weekend, and we'll see how it all sorts out. Obviously, Boris has been the backstop of this club for years. We hope he's back. We hope he's healthy. But it is, dude, it's just so cool to have you around, man. It's like literally 10 years ago. It was 2015 that we were sitting in a booth around a little bit later in the year than this time, but not too much.
We always knew it would happen. I belong near the beach, so we always knew. And I just can't. It's an honor and a privilege to be in the organization and in the locker room with all these guys. Just the level of play is so high, And on and off the field, this organization is just top class, and they've taken great care of me since I've been here. And I just can't say thanks enough. And I'm excited to be a part of it. And hopefully we can bring home a championship to San Diego.
100%. Danny, thank you for your time tonight. All the fans on Soccer's Overtime appreciate it.
All right, guys. Thanks. Have a good night.
You too, my friend. How about it?
What a guy. What a team. I love seeing that. Just lads being lads, boys being boys in a G-rated way. Like that's I love seeing that. And again, just the connection that the team has, like that builds chemistry. Like this is something that translates on the field at the end of the day. If we want to be business and just what are they doing? Why are they eating mayonnaise? No, like it has its purpose. And you can tell even a veteran like Danny appreciates those moments, and it really galvanizes a group together. And you have somebody like probably like Mendez and laughing at the same joke as Childs, and it's just fantastic to see that.
Hopefully Galazzo Network will find a piece of that interview to be worthy for Sunday, because there was some really good stuff in there. Danny getting emotional, Danny giving us the backdrop on that great prank, and Danny giving us insight on being back, and living on adrenaline and kind of being just thrust right into the blender and see what he can whip up. On Sunday, a magical throwback performance. Now, as we transition to MASL news and get there at the top of the hour here, so we're not going to, spend forever, because right now we don't have to talk about a lot. We've got concrete situations now, Mr. Sanchez, in terms of what's going on and what needs to happen for all the teams involved. So let's start right at the top. And we take a look and see, there they are, the San Diego Sockers. They have the lead now over Chihuahua, but it is an illusory lead, a bit of an illusion. They are up by 1 point, but their maximum points for the year is 56. If they can beat Tacoma in regulation on Sunday, the Sockers will get to 56. So all the Savage has to do is get to 56, because unless they lose one of those games by like 75 goals to Harrisburg, well, then they couldn't get to 56, could they, if they lost by 75 goals? I was going to say, so the tiebreaker is impregnable. It's impregnable. So the Savage will win the tiebreaker if it's tied. So all they have to do is get to 56, and they win the Shield. They win the Shield for the second straight year, and they get the opportunity to have home after, if they can get through the front wave gauntlet, which is easier said than done. They have the opportunity to host the finals, at which point they would be, I would say, Tony, the overwhelming favorite against every team in the league, including San Diego.
Yeah, that's the measuring stick, and it has been in this league, especially going into this playoff scenario. And look, last year you look at Monterey Flash, and everybody thought that's going to be just the team to beat, but Chihuahua Savage has a championship pedigree. There's no question about it. And now with Chihuahua knowing how to win, knowing how to get it done, knowing what they need to do, that's an extra gear that the Sockers are the only team to actually kind of have that mentality and that edge where, well, they've been there, done that. Guess what? Chihuahua's been there and has done that a couple times now.
And Angus corrects me properly in the chat. Monterey went 24-0 last year. How quickly we forget, because they lost in the first round. Man, how quickly we forget. So, no, you're absolutely right. But Savage had home field when it came to the playoffs at the end last year, and that's all that mattered. And if they get home field this year, that's all that's going to matter, unless there's a magical night. And at least, if nothing else, if the Sockers have to go down to play a game down there and it all plays out that way, they're not going to hire Berna, and they're not going to hire anyone else down there. They've got Danny. If they don't have Boris, they got Danny. And that's a big upgrade on getting the guys who were either okay to turncoat. I don't know. Not good. Okay, but that's the simple story. If Chihuahua takes 4 points, meaning 2 wins of any kind or a regulation win and an overtime loss, then the Savage will win the Shield. And there's nothing the Sockers can do. And their matchup, which is the last game of the regular season, Sockers and Stars, San Diego could start anybody in that game. The game would be literally irrelevant to them. We'll get to Tacoma. It could be everything for Tacoma. Good, as we put up Keith's comment, good point. Really good point. But I've seen Danny play really well in Chihuahua in the past when he was with Tacoma. I've also seen him be part of a team that gave up 20 goals down there. So, tough times. Anytime you go to the Corner Sport Arena. Okay, but that's the situation. If Chihuahua somehow kicks a game in Harrisburg, then San Diego's game turns into a Shield game to end the season. It becomes a game for everything, for the Shield, for the number 1 seed, for home field advantage, and for the chance, if they face the Savage, to face them with 2 games to win at home. Even if they lost the first game of the finals 12-2, they would have 2 games at home where by definition they would be undefeated if they were in that position. So, very straightforward. Now you get to the rest of the bracket. And Kansas City has really fallen off. They've dropped 5 of 6. And as such, they cannot catch San Diego. They're 8 points back they're 9 points back with 2 to play. They can't catch us. So the Sockers, at worst, will finish second. That is done and dusted. Baltimore has the chance with 9 possible points remaining to theoretically move up and catch Kansas City. The Blast play at Harrisburg on Thursday. They host the woeful Outlaws on Friday, and then they host Kansas City on Sunday. So presuming the Blast beat the 2 pansies that are in their way, and I just mean that in sorry. Yeah. Beat the 2 teams that they're supposed to beat easily. All right. The 2 teams that they're supposed to dominate in terms of Texas and Harrisburg. Then that game will be for 3rd in all likelihood. Kansas City could screw it up along the way as well because they play at Utica on Friday. And again, Kansas City's form is poor. They have lost 5 of their last 6 to drop to 14-8, which brings you to Milwaukee. Milwaukee has a chance to put a spanner in the works a little bit, right? They could get to 45. So in a theoretical world where Baltimore screwed up completely in their first 2 games and then beat Kansas City, Milwaukee could get to 45 and could get to 3rd. That's the path they'd have to take. That would require them to beat St. Louis home and away in regulation. Remember, when they play St. Louis away, Frank Tayu is part of some weird-ass agreement in the trade between St. Louis and Milwaukee, can't play there. And basically, Tony, Milwaukee has been an A-B situation since the Tayu trade. A, is Tayu in? Milwaukee wins and scores a ton of goals. Is Tayu out? Milwaukee loses. Like, it's been pretty straightforward. Tayu has been dominant against some poor competition, but he's also been really good at home in wins over good competition like Kansas City. So the Wave are, I'd say, a very dangerous team in that 5 spot, Tony.
Yeah, and that's where, they can be within striking distance of a favorable matchup in this playoff situation. And really, this is why this is so important to not just look at, okay, Sockers, Chihuahua, 1-2, got it. But later in the bracket, later in the table is when these games start to be interesting. And you mentioned Utica too. Utica, I do believe Kelvin Oliveira is out for the season. There was an announcement, I believe on his Instagram in Portuguese, of trying to read it earlier. Às vezes não entendemos os porquês da vida. Just kind of very emotional post as well. Seems like he's out. So that definitely throws a monkey wrench in this entire situation, at least for Utica. At least for Utica.
Well, there they are. Utica is 6th. Utica could get to 43 points. So I believe it's impossible for them to get higher than 4th just based on who has to play one another and the way points would distribute. But if they won back-to-back, they could. But we've seen it all year with Kelvin, team that could beat anybody in a given night. And in a single elim, one of the, I'd say, top 3 on the draw of teams you wouldn't want to play. I think Utica would be considered more dangerous with Kelvin in one game than Chihuahua at Front Wave Arena. But without Kelvin, Utica kind of becomes a team you want to play, which would make, if things held in this form, and they don't necessarily have to, but it's pretty close to being the way that it will have to. If things held in this way, that would be the prize for finishing 3rd. Between KC and Baltimore would be the chance to face Utica in that first round.
Yeah, there was this graphic. I don't know if you saw, just like if they ended right now, which again, there's still some games to be played, but if it ended now, here you go.
Well, it doesn't. So they've decided, I believe, to still play the rest of the games.
Yeah, I think so.
This weekend. Which brings us to the bottom of the bracket, which is where things are exciting. You've got Empire, who finally got a point by losing in overtime. They needed that point so badly. If they had gone ahead with a 6-1 deficit to bow in overtime on Sunday, I would be here telling you that the Strikers have a very realistic chance of missing the playoffs altogether at 33 points. Because right now, St. Louis is winning in Dallas. That game is in the 4th quarter. It's live as we record on Tuesday, March 25th. So, if St. Louis holds on to that result, they will get to 30 points with 2 games remaining. Then they host Milwaukee without Taiyu to begin the weekend. That could get them to 33 points. Thank you, Keith, for the update. Up by 2, under 3 minutes to play. 33 points would have tied them with Empire and, importantly, moved them a point over Tacoma, who would then need to get a result out of San Diego on Sunday night. So the fact that Empire got that extra point means St. Louis now has to run the table and take care of business against Milwaukee in Milwaukee with Frank Taiyu to try and get to 36 points. And then Empire could take care of business on their own, and they've got Dallas on the road, a team that I believe Empire should handle easily. So with that point, and yeah, Texas has picked up a couple of wins. They've been against Dallas. Come on.
Somebody has to win in that game.
Yeah, and if anyone ever upsets anyone, it's the bad team in Texas beating the worst team in Texas beating the bad team in Texas, because they've usually both been bad. So that's the mess between 7, 8, and 9. St. Louis can go win-win and force Tacoma potentially out of the playoffs, where the Stars have to get a result out of San Diego. Now, if at that point, and we should know it, the Heat and the Savage, they'll play at 2:00 on Sunday, the second game of that set. So if Chihuahua had lost on Saturday, the Sockers would already know. But if Chihuahua wins Sunday, then the Sockers side of it is reduced to exhibition. And I think we've been there for a match like that in the last couple of years, where for the Sockers it meant nothing, and for Tacoma it meant everything, for them to at least get a point out of the meeting. And I even remember them going to overtime and losing and celebrating making the playoffs at Pechanga Arena in a situation like that. Well, that really could be what happens come Sunday. But if Chihuahua loses a game, Tacoma is probably in big trouble. And it's wild to say that because I've said all the way through that I thought Tacoma would take care of business. Now, St. Louis, this is a team that's won 4 in a row. They're going to win their 5th in a row here, 8-5 now at this moment. But Milwaukee is better than them. So all the Wave have to do is pull a result out, and St. Louis will stay out of the playoffs. And Tacoma will be there. So Milwaukee can win their game in, or if St. Louis does it, then Tacoma will get the pressure to get a result. There's a universe where it could still fall apart for Empire, where Tacoma wins in regulation. St. Louis picks up all the points that they need to get, and they lose in regulation at Dallas. And what an Empire thing that would be to do, but I'm sorry. Look at that record, 11-10-2. Now take 4 regulation losses and an overtime loss, or is it 3-2? I think it's 3-2. 3 regulation losses and 2 overtime losses out of the picture, and you're looking at a team that's 4 games over 500 against everybody that's not San Diego. So Empire is good enough. They're worthy to make the playoffs, and I think they will easily win in Dallas against a decrepit Sidekick side. But if they don't, it would be the most Strikers thing ever. So.
Yeah, it just would fall. Some franchises, again, some winning franchises that have the winning aspect mentality, the pedigree that they can get it done, and then there are some who also have the other side of that coin.
So there it is. That's your playoff situation, top, middle, and bottom. And I couldn't agree with Keith's last comment more. This is the downside of being Tacoma or Empire. Again, look at Tacoma's record, right? And then take the 6 losses. And I think they had 1 overtime loss against us. So take 5 losses and an overtime loss out, and that's 10-5-2 against the rest of the league. And obviously that makes you a solid contending team. Face the Sockers 6 times, and if they lose on Sunday, lose 5 of the games. It's a tough way to go. Empire took 5 losses against us. Tacoma's taken 5 losses. No, 4 so far. 4 losses against us, famously beat us in 1 game. Another thing I thought about, not for nothing, is those overtime games. The Sockers have been perfect in overtime this year, but those are 4 points conceded. And if you had a couple of those points, you'd control your own destiny against Chihuahua, as opposed to them controlling their destiny against you. So, it's the little things along the way.
Yeah, we were talking about that this whole year, right? Like, it's these matches that the Sockers have been able to just edge out barely. And some games that you're like, okay, that shouldn't have been that close. There are some games where the opposition rose up to the occasion, and it's like, okay, oh, right, I'll give you that. I'll give you that one. You can go back and look at that tape. But as far as just a scale, as a 20-foot view, like, this is why those games matter. This is why every single game matters, especially in this format where at the end of the day, you could have been controlling your own destiny and on the wheel, regardless of what Chihuahua said. That's why I like some of the coaching quotes in soccer. It's like, well, they can do whatever they want. We're going to do what we want, and just focus internally and not necessarily worry about, hey, Chihuahua's having a record year. Cool, let them have it. We're going to go ahead and do 1 too.
Right. Absolutely. Really a lot of fun. And by the way, Department of Accuracy department, once again, rears its head. I said St. Louis had won 4 in a row. That will be the case if they finish this game off right now. That would be their 4th straight win. It was Tacoma that had won 4 in a row. So we apologize for the ephemeral error, an error that will become correct momentarily as they are about to win that game. Okay. We head to Soccer's news, and I think we've pretty much previewed the Tacoma match. If the Sockers have to play for anything, they're going to have to roll their number 1 lineup out there.
Yeah.
if they don't have to play for anything, this becomes a game that veterans can rest. Players who are hunting any particular stats can hunt those stats. And the goal could become a real evaluation process. Like, is Boris Pardo available? Because if he is, I'm pretty sure the Sockers then with that acquisition rule would have to inactivate one of the three keepers or deactivate one of the three keepers. And I don't know what they do, to be honest with you, but you could otherwise go, hey, Boris, play a half. Danny, play a half. Let's evaluate our 40 plus. Happy birthday to Boris, turning 41 over the weekend on Saturday. So, meanwhile, Tavoy is likely to be out. I saw him in a walking boot at the Sockers golf tournament yesterday. He thinks he'll be fine for the playoffs, but I think he'll miss preemptively that. Taylor took a red card. He'll be out as well. So, a little bit of adjustment there. Gabi Costa missed the weekend. And if he's 65%, you don't want him to go on Sunday. Because as we laid it out, Tony, for Tacoma, in all likelihood, unless everything rolls their way, like exactly their way, they're going to need to pull a result out of Front Wave and be the first team to do it.
Yeah, and that would for Tacoma would really kind of put that cap, that full circle moment on the season for them, especially opening against the Sockers with a victory at home. What better way to close the season in the regular season and go and get some momentum into the playoffs by being the only team to beat and erase that perfect from the Sockers at Front Wave this year. And that's again, you don't want to give anybody an excuse to fire them up into the playoffs. And that means if you're not going to face them in the playoffs at any point in the bracket, that's fine. But if you do, don't be the reason why you're it's poster board material. Like, oh, we beat the Sockers here. We're going to play here again. We're capable of winning on this blue turf. We can do it. Oh, okay. Even if it's that's how it's going to be taken. Even if it is a dilapidated, that's rest of players, Sockers team. If they win and they made something to them, that's how it's going to be interpreted by Tacoma. We were able to beat the Sockers at Front Wave Arena, period. That's what they're going to go ahead and take from that.
And then if they do that, then they get to go the next and come back to Front Wave Arena. Have a chance to play probably Chihuahua in that circumstance. Well, definitely Chihuahua, I would say, in that circumstance. To try and keep the upset train rolling with Toth, with Pereira, and just keep things going. And yeah, it could be Toth against Waltman, or it could be Toth against Pardo, and both of those are classicos, as we know. And potential rivalries and whatnot. So that's Sunday's game. The biggest thing about it is we'll know before we go. Not long before they go, but in time for the Sockers to make adjustments to their lineup if they had to. And especially, of course, if a result came in San Diego's way on Saturday, then they'd know going into the game. But in more likelihood, it would be waiting for that very last game. Does Harrisburg pull one out for the fans at Farm Show Arena on Fan Appreciation Day here at the Equine Show Center? Like, if that could happen, what a moment it would be.
Come on, Harrisburg. Come on. Why not? Just save it. Just save it all for this game. One game. That's all. That's all we were asking. That's all the league asks, to be honest. Please.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. I mean, why not? Because they're currently 3-18 with a game against the Blast to begin, and they'll be playing their third match in 4 days that day. Not for nothing. So,
So you're saying
there's a chance.
So you're saying
there's definitely a chance. There's definitely a chance for them to win that first game. If they win the second game, it'll be one of those. I don't know. Yeah. Best thing in Harrisburg, the state capital. Couldn't agree more, Eddie. I think it was closed the time that I was there on a trip to Harrisburg. for the 48th win. That was the trip of the Sockers win streak was defined. They won in Harrisburg. Brian Farber had a bicycle kick in the Farm Show Equine Sports Center arena there. And then we went on to Dallas and famously lost in overtime to end the 48 match winning streak, which brings me to our final point tonight on Soccer's News, that Eduardo El Vaquero Velez announced that this Sunday will be his retirement match. Eddie has trained with the team, but didn't play the last couple of years. He has managed to appear in 3 matches for San Diego this year. Like Danny Waltman, he's 43 years of age. But El Vaquero has been a part of this team since 2010, 2011, back to the PASL. He was a key player in the 48 match winning streak for San Diego. Huge part of why we talk about soccer's magic was magic moments from El Vaquero. So let me bring you, in honor of Eddie, his 2 greatest highlights as a soccer. Now, I was thinking, and I would say number 3 on the list is when he was 41 years old, Tony. You might remember, and went to Baltimore in like his 1 start of the year and scored a hat trick in a win against the Blast. And they were like, oh no, Eddie Velez. Like, so mad. This was what we're seeing highlights of right here. This was the match after Dallas beat San Diego in Dallas to end their 48 match winning streak. This was in front of a crowd of over 5,000 at the Sports Arena. And Dallas was winning by a goal, 4-3 in the 4th on an own goal that went off of Riley Swift's hands. 6th attacker situation for San Diego. There's Eddie playing on the wing. There's going to be 2 heroes in this clip because I know where we are in this game because I was announcing it on the radio and on YouTube. Here's the header try that misses, tip down, and there's Eddie. There it is. That was with no time on the clock. No time. Literally, zeros were on the clock after that ball went over. The Sockers were on now I'm remembering it a little better. The Sockers were on a power play because of a 3rd card accumulation on a Dallas player. And that was to end the game. That was after Eddie had, Zay Roberto had scored with like 48 seconds left to tie it. Yeah, 1 second on the clock. There's Segu. He gets into it with Paul Savage. I think he pushed Paul in that scrum at some point. I was screaming my mind out. Soccer's magic, El Vaquero, as Eddie scores. Yeah, like as time expired, the ball was in the net and the clock hit zeros and the game was over and everyone was angry. What an incredible moment. Ball tipped out for him. Now,
it's the Velez, he shoots, he scores, he scores, he scores, he scores. Eddie Velez has won the game on the last second. There is no time left. The game is over. The Sockers win it. Sockers magic.
What
all
a
right.
call. What a
Beautiful.
call.
I've lost my voice. But that's number 2 on the all-time Eddie Velez list. Let me take you to 2019. Landon Donovan's team, winners of 21 in a row. But they are in game 2 of the best of 3 series against Tacoma. And they went through regulation and single overtime into double overtime. Craig Childs had been suspended. He took a red card in game 1 of the series. He was eligible for the mini game if it happened. But he was like literally lurking behind the net in uniform, wondering if he had to come into the match. And we take you to double overtime. Oh, look, it's Danny Waltman. Maybe not your favorite part of this one. Go ahead, go sound up. Why not? Let's go sound up again. Why not? That was fun.
From behind wins possession back for San Diego. Big win by Taylor Bond. Forward come the Sockers again. Let's go to around a tackle by Kyrell. Escoto on the half wall, staggering in, still through another slide tackle. Backheel, score! It's Eddie Velez! Sockers There's magic, and who does it? El Vaquero! The Tijuana veteran has pushed the Sockers into the Western Conference Final, extended their match-winning streak to 23, and their golden goal record to 6-0. And there's only one thing you can say: the Sockers are awesome. Y que viva Tijuana! Que viva Tijuana! Que viva Tijuana! All the hard work done by Brandon Escoto.
16, Eddie Velez.
And the glory falling to El Vaquero.
By number 19, Brandon
As we see the replay here, Escoto fighting
Time of the
through.
goal, 6:25.
And El Vaquero
The game-winning goal by
hammering
Velez
home.
from Escoto at 6.
making no mistake about it. El Vaquero getting the golden goal. Brilliant, just brilliant.
I mean, it's Brandon's highlight, I know, but it's Eddie's goal. And that moment, and he had a hat trick in that game. Eddie Velez showed up in the biggest moments for the San Diego Sockers throughout his career. He truly did. He showed up in the biggest moments. He won 4 championships with San Diego. He's one of those players that's kind of a Ring of Honor player of that transition team from PASL to MASL. And to see those 2 highlights too, right, Tony? One 2013, one 2019, but he came into the sport as the part owner of Revolucion Tijuana, playing down at Estadio Ferrati. So the first time I saw Eddie was on the opposition side for a year or 2 before he came over to the San Diego side. And boy, when he was at the height of his powers, he was just such a two-way threat, almost kind of like a Dennis Rodman in terms of like he was a defensive monster. He was somebody who would get under the opponent's skin. He's as likely to draw cards as he was to commit cards. And he just had the knack for being there to make the big play when the Sockers needed it, when it was championship time.
I mean, that's the type of player that, people just dream of having on as a teammate, and really just a player that knows how to win and knows how to get it done and knows that how good he is. That's what I liked about seeing him play. And a name Eddie Velez rings. You mentioned Furati, right? Like, man, that's where I grew up, bro. Like, you knew who Eddie Velez was down there, and you might not watch or be able to see a lot of soccer in Tijuana, but la gente sabe quién Eddie Velez is, and just a legendary player. And the fact that he's gonna lace him up one again, and we might have, why not? Let's do another hat trick. Why not?
Why not?
Let's do it. I think it's possible. Let's vouch for that. Let's lobby for it. I'm down.
Well, no matter what, that's a great reason to tune in on Sunday, or to get out there to Front Wave Arena on Sunday. And also, I'd remind you to get out there next week. The Sockers did announce now that they've clinched no worse than the 2nd seed. That means they play Friday, which means no surprise, they will play in the night slot on Friday. So when we get to playoff time, the Sockers' first match will be match 2 of the single elimination. It'll be Friday night, 7:30 p.m. at Front Wave Arena. So if you've been waiting for single match tickets, now you know it is Friday, April 4th, 7:30 p.m. The Sockers either as the number 1 seed versus number 8, or as the number 2 seed versus number 7. Either way, no matter how the bracket shakes, they'll play the late game. So that's available to you now. You can buy tickets now. As you saw in that Instagram clip, apparently they're going to do a price hike for the final week, but you've got the whole weekend to get in on a good price. So go to it, frontwavearena.com, stsockers.com. And truly, I'm with Deb and Tony. One way or another, we're going to be there for the whole weekend. I've been informed by the league that Nick Vasos is flying in from Kansas City, that Philly is coming down. So I think they will be part of some broadcasts as well. And there could be a game that you and Nick work together or that me and Philly work together or whatever. But then you and I are going to work at least one. We'll probably work the night shift all 3 nights, the second game all 3 nights. And we'll be there. And I mean, you can say a lot about the format, and it's been said, including by the commissioner himself. But to go from 8 to 2 in 3 days, all single elimination soccer, I mean, that's going to be really, really exciting, competitive, and fun. And I wouldn't be surprised if there are some absolute gems of matches that we're honored to be at. So, as Deb said, I mean, get your tickets for the soccers, but if you get that whole pass for all 6 matches, you're going to see some really, really exciting soccer Friday, Saturday, Sunday next weekend.
Yeah, and again, it's a different layer of just potential things to happen with in Spanish you call it a torneo relámpago, just a lightning tournament is essentially what it is, and it's nonstop action where obviously for the safety of the players they can't cram all these games into one day, but this is a really truly exciting weekend at Front Wave Arena, and man, like I can't wait for the rest of the league to come in and really be able to see what a special place Front Wave has been. And again, I mentioned kudos to the front office and kudos to everybody who came out this last weekend, because again, that's the biggest crowd I've seen for a San Diego Sockers game out there. And they were in the game, they were energized, and they've done very well. There's been times and days where I've looked and like, oh, I don't think it's gonna, but it fills in, and the people who are there for the right reasons. Much like Danny Waltman, like he's here and he wants to be here. That's why I want him as a soccer, and I appreciate him as a soccer, because everybody who's there at Front Wave Arena cheering on, even if you have no idea who any of the players are, you're cheering on for a team that has San Diego on its name and the legacy it means, and they're putting a damn good product back there.
They really are. And, shout out from Josh and Phil all the way down through, Sean and Alexis and Katie, the people who've been working so hard, Sonora, Mary Beth, of course, putting together incredible match day presentation. A lot of people multitasking, JG, just getting things done all the time. Swiss Army knife, so many people in the organization doing really, really hard work. And it's going to be even harder for 6 matches, including a bunch of out of town games, in 3 days. They know they're not going to have gigantic crowds for a Baltimore Utica match or a Kansas City Empire or whatever, but nonetheless, they know that it's going to be 3 days of critical soccer, that everything's got to be right to get to the Ron Newman Cup Finals. So can't wait to be a part of it. Until then, Sunday, the regular season finale. Tony and I back together, CBS Sports Golazo Network, Sunday, double check it, 5 p.m., 6 p.m.
5
p.m. Yes. I don't like the 6 p.m.
Yep, that's exactly what I was checking. Just on a Sunday. That drive back. Yeah. I love Oceanside, but that drive back,
it's a long way. So for us, not for you if you're up there. So can't wait to see you Sunday at 5:00 to wave farewell to Eddie Velez, hoping for that sombrero dance, hoping for another Pistols Up celebration from El Vaquero. And we'll see what it means. Does it mean the Shield? Does it mean Tacoma's playoff life? Does it mean both? Oh, how juicy that would be if San Diego needed all 3. Imagine if San Diego needed all 3 for the Shield, but Tacoma needed 1 for the playoff.
That instantly turned into a classic game.
Right.
Whatever happens.
And Toth is like, you've got to beat me. And then Waltman's on the other side, maybe. Like, this is just a lot of fun. Or it could be Horace is back. And like, what is he, is he back or is he all the way back? Well, let's find out. So it could be a really juicy match on Sunday. It could be a ton of fun. All right, let's get out of here. We're at the 96-minute mark, which means, I mean that they always this over. No, it means we just so that is it for this edition of Deb.
Let's check that. Is it really?
We did the whole thing. How do you feel now, Joe?
I'm going to have a great time on Sunday at 6 p.m. for kickoff of the San Diego Sockers and Tacoma Stars. And I'm going to love being out there for Eddie Velez's retirement match with
Me
everybody.
too. Me too. Me too. All right. Thanks to Danny Waltman. Great to see Danny. Thanks to you, Tony. Thanks to Eddie Trujillo for all the highlights. Couldn't do it without you, man. Thanks to Paul Savage for the sneaky clip that we could play in Danny's interview. Appreciate you keeping the boys healthy. Tony and I will talk to you Sunday on the Galazzo Network. Until then, for Tony Sanchez and Danny Waltman, I'm Craig Elston saying thank you for tuning in. And go Sockers.